gentlemen, and fellow Kenyans, today I wish to make a statement which will reflect ANC's position as a party on the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 after consensus. When the final BBI report was released, ANC party critically read, studied, and analyzed each and every proposal in it. As a result, the ANC party cited several proposed amendments which, in our view, required further consultation, consensus, and subsequent amendments. We believed, and we still believe, that consensus is the way to go. We believe that this will enhance better governance and demonstrate genuine concern for the welfare of our citizens. Yesterday, the 25th of November 2020, the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 was released and signature collections launched. On our part, we have again undertaken a detailed study and analysis of the bill. We are satisfied that the bill has been revised, edited, and realigned, and has now incorporated new proposed amendments, some of which we indeed had proposed. Indeed, this bill has demonstrated a significant shift from the earlier proposals, and for this reason, we are encouraged by our insistence and that of many others, such as the Church, that consensus was given a chance. In this bill, our collective efforts have borne some fruit, as outlined briefly below. I will now go through some of the areas that we wish to highlight for the benefit of Kenyans. The new proposed amendments. 1. Article 88. In the earlier proposal, please listen to this significantly. In the earlier proposal, the IEBC commissioners were to be 7, 4 of whom were to be appointed by parliamentary political parties. In this new document, this proposal has been shelved altogether, meaning that appointment of the IEBC shall remain as currently provided under the present Constitution. Our verdict: this enhances IEBC's independence. The second item, Article 89. The earlier proposal, that is in the document that was launched earlier. In the earlier proposal, 70 additional constituencies called multi-member constituencies were to be created, and the criteria was not clear. It thereby gives rise to fears that these additional constituencies might be distributed unfairly to give certain regions undue advantage over the rest through a biased representation. However, the new document released yesterday is very clear now. Under a proposed Schedule 2, the multiple member constituencies have been removed. These were the ones they were more or less calling the virtual constituencies. They have been removed. Instead, the additional 70 constituencies have been mainstreamed as single-member constituencies and have been specifically designated in various counties across the country. So that, again, in our view, is a positive development. The third item is Article 97. In the earlier proposal, and I keep on repeating this, ladies and gentlemen, the earlier proposal, so that we can show you that we've been tracking the changes. And that is what I said, that we shall track the changes. A, for people with disabilities in the National Assembly, that is 2 men and 2 women. B, 2 youth, a man and a woman. And then C, special seats to cater for the 2/3 gender rule, so that after a general election, the National Assembly will have 360 MPs. If the affirmative criterion will not have been met, and then political parties will nominate members from among women who contested in the preceding election. Our verdict is that this is progressive, in that the nominated MPs shall have shown interest in participating in elective politics, as opposed to the current system where political party discretion is often abused. Basically, what we are saying, even for the women, it is not them getting it for free. They will also have shown interest in participating in the election, and that is a criteria which had never been determined or put on the table before. So we look at it as a progressive move. It is also progressive because they will be nominated on the basis of the total number of votes which each nominee garnered. A criterion for nomination has for the first time been created. So these ladies will have participated. Then to determine who deserves nomination, you look at the votes that were garnered. This is a new criterion and a progressive one. Then we have the fourth item, Article 98. The earlier proposal, there was no mention or no provision of or for leadership within the Senate, hence no clarity. Basically, in that earlier document, the one that was released earlier, they never talked about the leadership in the Senate. It was silent. This strengthens the Senate on bills originating from the Senate. Now, this is important because one of the things we raised at Bomas was that the document that had been released seemed to be whittling away the powers and the authority and the functions of the Senate. So that even a bill originating from the Senate, if there was an issue, the Speaker of the National Assembly is the one supposed to take it to the President for consent. Yet the debate took place in the Senate. This is now being rectified. We now move, and I'll come back to the Senate on a few other provisions. We now move to the Article 107A, the leader of the official opposition. In the new document, the leader of official opposition and the Prime Minister cannot now, unlike before, be from the same political party. Basically, the draft that came out when we were at Bomas was not clear. It was providing for very serious incestuous arrangements. But this, on the issue of the leader of opposition, but this has now been clarified. You cannot have the Prime Minister and the leader of opposition coming from the same party. That was vague in the earlier document. Then there's also something that has improved on the issue of the leader of opposition. The lacuna hitherto, or before, as to what will happen in the event the leader of official opposition cannot meet the set conditions, or when there is a vacancy in that office, has now been cured by Article 107A(3), which now gives power to a party or coalition of parties from whom the nominee originated to fill the vacancy. Now, this is very interesting because there are conditions that if you are to be the leader of opposition, you must garner at least 25% of the people sitting in the National Assembly. The question was, suppose nobody has attained that target. Does it mean that Kenya will go without opposition? So this has now been corrected in this document, that in the event of such a thing, there's a way out. We had even talked of, suppose the number 2 person, hypothetically, is an independent candidate, and he does not have the threshold of 25% in the National Assembly. Now, with this adjustment, assuming that there's a very popular independent candidate who becomes the runner-up in a presidential election, then he can now form an affiliation and a coalition with the other members and be able to meet the threshold because he was an independent. That was lacking. Now this has been corrected in this document. The 7th item is Article 151A. The earlier proposal, the President was to choose a Prime Minister, yet the very provision said that the Prime Minister will be that member of the National Assembly who shall have majority MPs or majority coalition. This had given an absolute discretion, therefore introducing inherent uncertainty and confusion in this important process. The new document, certainty has now been established by providing that the President will nominate, not choose, a Prime Minister who is an elected member and a leader of the majority in the National Assembly. Presidential discretion is thus removed from it. The 8th is Article 171 and 172. The earlier proposal, the Office of the Judiciary Ombudsman, he was proposed to be a substantive member of the Judicial Service Commission, participating fully in Judicial Service Commission decisions and actions. The new document now brings it out this way. The Judiciary Ombudsman will now be an ex officio member of the Judicial Service Commission. Additionally, he will be vetted by the Senate, thereby giving the office a seal of approval by the people's representatives. Earlier on, if you go to the old document, it simply said the President shall appoint. But now the President nominates and the Ombudsman is going to be vetted. So there is a distinction. And then if you go further in the document, you will find that the Ombudsman then now makes reports to Parliament. to help contribute in the running of their respective county governments. This is fair and progressive. So what is being introduced in the National Assembly is now being mirrored in the county assemblies. The 10th item is Article 218. In the earlier proposal, remember, I'm tracking. In the earlier proposal, the document that was released in Bomas, the entire article on the process of enacting the annual division and allocation of revenue bill had been repealed, and the proposed processes of the bills seemed to give the National Assembly an upper hand on these bills that are logically and naturally a preserve of the Senate. And you remember one of the things that I pointed out even at Bomas was that that document seemed to be undermining the Senate. And if you undermine the Senate, you're undermining devolution. This has now been rectified. In the new document, the proposed processes of managing the bill and its passing have reverted back to what they are in the Constitution 2010. The Senate has been protected, and hence devolution has been protected. The 11th item is Article 223, Sub-Article 1. The Senate has been strengthened by being given power to vet and approve the presidential nominee as controller of budget. A power that previously was reserved for the National Assembly. Overall, the Senate has been strengthened by having a key role to play in the enactment of bills on finances to the counties, positions the Senate adequately, and these positions the Senate adequately to oversight devolved governance and protect public resources. The 12th item is Article 246. And I go back to the earlier proposal. On the Bomas Day, in this Article 246, it had established the Kenya Police Council, whose composition would be without any representatives from the public or civilians. Moreover, the council was proposed to be headed by a presidential appointee, namely the Minister for Interior and his or her principal secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, this proposal has been shelved altogether. This is responsive. And you remember, even the Catholics specifically identified this clause. In the new document, it has been shelved. That means there are changes, amendments have been made. The 13th item is new. The new proposal is that CDF, it is proposed that CDF, the Constituency Development Fund, is now proposed to be established in the Constitution. For many years now, the CDF has greatly impacted lives of many Kenyans in all areas of the country. But it had been declared unconstitutional by the High Court, hence the need for its creation in the Constitution. CDF had been declared unconstitutional, so now this document, this new document, is making amends if Kenyans vote for it, so that CDF can now become constitutional, because it has had a major impact in many parts of the country. No doubt there have been pilferage in some areas and misuse in some areas, but it is now becoming a constitutional recommendation. This is progressive, as it will give it a proper legal standing to carry on its work. The 14th aspect that I wish to deal with reflects on the 4th schedule. The proposed transfer of functions from the Nairobi County to the national government in the report that was brought out in Bomas. The proposed transfer of functions from the Nairobi County to the national government in the report has been deleted in the bill. This is a major boost in strengthening devolution, as the status of Nairobi as a county government has been restored. Ladies and gentlemen, this is critical. Yes, there was mismanagement in Nairobi County, and indeed there is mismanagement in other counties. But the biggest gain that Kenyans made in the 2010 Constitution was perhaps the principle of devolution, so that resources can be reallocated in a different way. So the moment you start clawing back, if you had transferred Nairobi functions away from the devolved framework, you then alter devolution. And the question would be, after you start with Nairobi, which other major city would have been next? So if we want to protect devolution, then we need to live with it. And if there are mismanagement problems, let us, through our choices, let us, through our elective choices, put the right people in place. Don't try and alter the law because you made a poor choice. 2022 is an election year. I hope Kenyans in the various parts of the country will realize where they made mistakes, where their choices were out of emotion, where they thought their choices don't matter. Let it now go on record. Their choices matter. For these reasons, in my concluding remarks, ANC party now supports the BBI process and urges all Kenyans to come together and participate in this process with a view to having a smooth and basically a non-contested referendum. Consensus is the spirit of Kenya, and it should be the spirit of Kenya. When we raised issues, people wanted to vilify us. When we said there were concerns, people wanted to vilify us because they wanted a quick shortcut of having a divisive process. But diplomatically, consistently, and logically, many voices raised concerns. And with the new document, it shows that those concerns did not land on deaf ears. The new document shows that they have been responded to. At least a substantial or significant amount of those issues have been responded to. When we spoke in Bomas, I, speaking on behalf of ANC, I said that there are some good things in this document, but there are also some issues that require review. And we don't have to reject the whole document, but we can improve on it. Ladies and gentlemen, the verdict of ANC is that this document has been significantly improved on.